Wednesday, December 21st, headed to Iron River, Michigan for the city council meeting.
Call the meeting to order, please. Please all rise for the pledge of allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here.
Councilperson Mercier. Here. Councilperson Marcel. Mayor Carson.
Here. We're going to move on to public comment, but I would just like to make a statement before public comment. I know you all want to, or most of you want to have something to say, but our public comments are limited to 3 minutes. So what I would appreciate that when I call on you, you get your 3 minutes and don't try to get back onto the floor again. Give everybody a chance for their 3 minutes, because otherwise we could get one person just dominating the entire conversation, and then other people will get upset. So I'll open up the floor right now, and I'll ask you to stand up, and you can go ahead with your comment. Who would want to be first? Larry Melton. I think, yeah, that's Larry.
Just a very quick comment. The only place I seen the agenda published was on the front door of the City Hall here. Would it be possible to have future meetings at least advertised in the reporter so we can know what's going on with the agenda?
It's possible. I think we can do that. I don't know if that's normal. Never been normal before. No?
It's also on our website, if you're...
Oh, I don't have a website, but. And the other question is, just on the right side there, it refers to the page numbers. What are those for?
It's part of the agenda packet that's put together for all the council. And
Okay, I just wondered because I have no idea what it was. That's all.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Nicole Thurston. I spoke with Mr. Tarsi 2 times on the phone, once in October and again in November. Initially, Mr. Tarsi stated all Laura has to do to come back to work is go to a doctor of the city's choosing and be released by said doctor. I wanted to give him examples of the many experiences that I had with Laura. I felt it was my duty to share times of her professionalism and helping heart, all while maintaining order in the city of Iron River. The call ended amicably enough. However, the second phone call didn't go quite as smoothly, with Mr. Tarsi raising his voice enough that I asked politely why he was yelling. At one point in the conversation, in response to the statement that there was an online petition started that day, not by me, asking that Laura Frizzo be reinstated, Mr. Tarsi on November 10th told me, it would be interesting to see how many of those signing actually lived in Iron River. I asked if that mattered. He stated, they're the only ones who do. I do not live in the city of Iron River. However, among other daily errands, I do my banking, grocery shopping, dining, fueling, and regularly frequent 2 salons while my son goes to a 3rd salon within the city limits. I would think that customers, especially those close to the area, would matter also. I mean, without customers, businesses close and less money is being accumulated for the city. That being said, I need to voice my concern that I need to feel protected and safe during my time spent in town. Knowing that the people in charge of assuring this have made the decision to hire a man with a troubled and criminal past such as that of Mr. Thayer alarms me. However, what is even more frightening is the thought that they would allow and back this very man whom I've read about in countless letters and quotes from articles from people in different communities who have been devastated from his destructive path. I also need to point out that an accused serial killer lived about 6 houses down from me in Old Caspian. There is one person who would not stop investigating Kelly Cochran. Laura Frizzo worked tirelessly to put away a woman who has left a trail of bodies in her wake. She encouraged her department, who I'm also thankful for, to continue the searches for Chris Regan. I would come home from work time after time and see them searching the riverbanks and bushes. I stopped on occasion to offer them refreshments or even bug repellent, because I'm scared of wood ticks. And even after nothing turned up, the next day I would see them out there again, and the day after that, and so on. After a very long and thorough investigation for that case, and another lengthy murder trial about an infant, I feel it is more than appropriate that Laura needed a few days off to recoup and re-energize. While I do not know what Laura's medical situation was, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that it was stress-related. Police work must be very stressful. Dealing day in and day out with drug overdoses, thefts, assaults, to mention a few things, all while living under the fear of a tyrannical boss who calls her a bitch. Who wouldn't be stressed? I say shame on the city council for what I fear was blindly following an egomaniacal so-called leader with a disgraced track record. I beg you, for those who live in this town or the surrounding areas, and for those who own businesses or do business here in Iron River, please do not keep David Thayer, a man who appears sexist and rude, on as the representative of the town, and please put Laura back in her position where she belongs so that she may continue on with her duties to run a well-managed and very competent police department. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Melody Savala. Thank you for letting me speak.
Oh.
I recently moved to Iron River, but my family has history here. We've lived there about a year. I might say that in that time, I've had nothing but positive experiences with the police department. We actually had somebody break into our home when I was home alone with my daughter, and they were very kind and very supportive. And it was very scary because one of the reasons we moved here from a larger metropolitan area was to feel safe. And as much as I love Iron River, and it speaks to my heart because I'm the 6th generation of my family now that's lived here, I wonder now if I should have done better research, because the crime statistics here are kind of frightening. And I think that two things I want to make a point of what this gentleman said is I think that one thing that would help us all is if we had better communication with the council. Maybe we could start like some social media, like a Facebook page that's specific to the city council or something like that, so the public feels better informed about the decisions that you're making. And then second, like I said, I think that we need to really think about beyond the issue with the chief, which is significant. I think we need to think about supporting our police department. I mean, we've all seen the flags at half-mast this week because Michigan's lost 5 officers. You know, and it's like, Iron River, we're grossly under-policed. We should have 6 full-time officers minimum for our population here. 6! And we don't have anywhere near that. So, of course they're all stressed and overworked. And like you said, there are huge trials coming up that shouldn't be being endangered because of politics. And I understand and I appreciate you guys did probably the best work you could to find a man to fill this seat. But I think that it may be time to readdress that situation and consider if maybe he is the best fit. And no insult, Mr. Thayer, but I don't think you are. I think that he's, from what I've read, and it seems to be pretty much across the board. I mean, I saw today online where a council member from Lexington came out publicly and said he cost their city $1 million and community strife before he was let go. And I just don't want to see us go down that same path, you know? And I completely support the chief. Like I said, I've had nothing but positive, interfacing with the Iron River Police, but I don't want to think I made a mistake by coming back to my family's hometown. I love it here. I love the people. I want to build a life here. I have a 10-year-old daughter. I want her to feel safe here. And I would feel safest if the chief was reappointed and Mr. Thayer was gone.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else?
I'll make a comment.
Hold it. The gentleman there in the blue jacket had his hand up first.
I don't know if anybody, remember that the chief was actually fired once before for the demeanor that she had. She actually had a DUI years ago. She had a restraining order against
Hold it.
her.
Excuse me. Please do not interrupt the person that's talking. It's not polite. Go ahead, Lloyd.
She had a restraining order against her while she was an officer. So for me, I'm looking for a chief that I can feel comfortable with going to, like the last chief that we had. We felt very comfortable going to that chief. I personally, it's just my dealings, I'm not comfortable with it. So other people need to realize what David is seeing. I'm not 100% agree with what he did in the matter, but I agree with his actions.
Thank you.
The first
No,
three
sir.
statements you made were false.
Go ahead. Roy, please.
Okay.
Okay?
I live in Astra, but like the way it here says, I do my banking, shopping right here in Iron River. Okay? And that's the only place we can shop. So actually, this is about every city around here. because we all come here to do our business. And as far as you're talking about her having a DUI, we've got a judge on the bench over in Crystal Falls, had 9 of them, 7 convictions. Why is he still there?
Yes.
Now back to the other thing. I support Laura. Mr. Thayer, Mr. Public, you're an asshole. You shouldn't be here.
Hey, come on now. That's
You
enough.
should have been fired and never brought up.
Please sit down,
Wait,
or I'll rule you
I got
out
3
of order.
minutes, you said.
No, sir. Not with that kind of language.
Okay, I'll refrain that, but let me say something.
right.
Now, Peter Bryan River, I'll tell you something. He can be fired. And if the city council doesn't do it, you guys can remove them from office too.
Very true. Very true. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Michelle Clemens.
I'm sorry, I got it.
I'd like to mention what he said.
Sure.
She did not have a
Look at him,
DUI.
bro.
Hold it.
It
Come on.
was impaired.
Excuse me,
It was
Michelle.
dropped to impaired. It was 11 years ago. Actually, as a matter of fact, I was with her that night. She literally had 2 drinks, and I know that for a fact. I also know that he was up at Kermit's stating, and a person is here who can back this up. He was drinking at Kermit's. Someone said to him, "Now, you better be careful," and he said, "Oh, it's okay. I just live over there, and I'm the chief of police. And I have the waitresses in here that didn't say that." So 11 years ago, and as far as the restraining order thing, that was personal between her and her husband. And them issues don't even have to be brought up, not during her work. I know exactly what happened, and any of us would have done the same thing. So that is not even fair to bring that up. She is doing a really good job for our town. He has a problem with women, in my opinion. She has done, look, she has put us on the map for this case. She worked her butt off. She should be getting a raise and promoted for the work that she is putting on. Is she always the person that maybe things don't come out of her mouth right? We're all like that. I am like that. Sometimes I come off really rough. People are sometimes like, whoa, we're like that. I am like that. She might be like that. But stress will definitely do that to her. Also, she got cleared from that doctor. I have read all the paperwork. She got cleared from that doctor. At the bottom of the paperwork from the doctor he sent her to, he stated that they both need to work on their relationship and that she should be able to return to work. So my question to you is, why would you be fired when the doctor okayed that? If it's a personal issue, maybe they both can go to counseling. Is there a
Thank
reason?
you. Thank you. Anybody else? Gentleman way in the back with the black hat on.
Rick Geiser, I just have one question. Do you guys do a background check on me at all?
Yes, we
Because
do.
I know when I go for a job, that they look at my past job experiences. And if I have 3 failed jobs before this, why would I get hired for that 4th job? It just seems ridiculous. It's causing us a lot of strife in everything, in every aspect of our county being affected by this.
Can I answer your question? We did a thorough background check. We had 7 applicants when the last city manager left. We reviewed, we ended up with 3. We interviewed the 3. David was one of them. We had a background check. I called certain people. Some were for him, some were against him. I reported my findings to the city council. You were out in the audience at the time when we decided to hire Mr. Thayer. The comment was made, he's head and shoulders above the other 2 applicants. Let's hire Mr. Thayer.
How can we, I understand that, but
Okay,
he
I
has cost
answered- I
other
think I
counties
answered your
millions
question.
of dollars. How can our small town take a hit like that?
Like what?
Millions of dollars he's
I don't know
cost other
anything
towns,
about this $1 million,
other cities.
sir, but let's move, well, thank
But
you
you
though
did
for
your
your
background
comments,
check.
thank you.
That's right.
Yes,
Okay.
somebody else was down.
You should.
Yes.
My name is John Hall.
John, okay.
I was here when he was reviewed for this job. And I told this council, with the exception of the young lady there, I said, you better think before you bring someone in here from a different town, because I've been to council meetings in many towns. And I told you, if you hire someone that has a strong head, he'll turn your city upside down. What's he doing?
It's a matter of opinion.
That's my opinion.
I appreciate
My
that.
opinion and the rest of these people.
Well, there's a
We're
1,200.
paying for everybody's
Okay, John, I
salary.
understand that, okay? There's 1,200 people that live in the city of Ann Arbor. How many do you have?
Or maybe you
saying,
how many
John?
we had here? You know how many council meetings I attend.
That's right.
I quit last December till June of this year because I saw the same thing at this council that I saw all the rest downstate.
Okay.
And they brought Mr. Thayer in, and he is not the man for the job in Iron River. Whether or not you like it, or whether anybody else likes it, he's not for this town.
Thank you. But when you frame a statement like that, John, I wish you would state the council, not me. I'm one member of the council.
I didn't direct that at you.
Yes, you did. You said you, and you pointed at me. There's people here and there's people here that sit on this council. We all make the decision.
Who's head of that council?
I am the mayor,
Thank you.
but I have one vote like the rest of them. One vote. Who's next? Vicky Anderson.
I worked for the city for 37 years. I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen anything handled like this before. I think the board is making a big mistake in the way they're handling this, and Mr. Thayer also. I think that before things get way out of hand, that you should reconsider what's going on here and really think about it. Because it isn't going to get any better. A lot of hard feelings are being made when you have a large number of people filling this building right here. There's a lot of others out there that are afraid to come in here and say anything. Maybe you should reconsider and work something out here instead of letting this go any further.
Thank you, Dick.
Thank you.
The man, the lady with her hand up there, thank you. Mrs. Karwas, Miss Karwaski.
Thank you, Lisa
You're welcome.
Karwoski.
Yeah.
I'm here to support Laura, and one thing, being raised in a family of a man who ran as mayor, ran this town as mayor in the 70s, he's gonna strike me dead, but he's also shaking his finger. He's turning over tonight, looking at the way things are being run. Things have to change, and the city council, as far as I know, you're here for us. You're here for us. Remember for them. So I just need you to remember that, and I support Laura.
Thank you, Lisa. I happen to have the privilege of sitting with your dad on the city council when he was the mayor.
Thank you.
And a very good man. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Jessica Schramm, and I just have 2 questions for you. The first one is, were the other applicants that applied for this position, did any of them have a criminal background? And the other one would be, would any of you council members feel comfortable if you had a major event or a major criminal event happen within your family with Mr. Thayer on your side? Or with Laura on your side? And those are my 2 questions.
Okay. Who's next? Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I have severe PTSD. One of your officers triggered it. Laura handled that. What she did as an officer, as a young woman, in her personal time, okay, things happen. I bet every single one of you at one point or another has had a run-in, in some time in your life, with the cops for something or other, even if it's a speeding ticket, right? So why are we getting down on her? Because she's a female. And that's the only reason that you guys are so hard on her. She's the right person for this job, and whether you agree with it or Mr. Snooty there agrees with it, it doesn't matter. And yes, I will call that name. That's not a curse word. That man there does not belong in here. He does not belong to this town. He does not belong on this council. She belongs where she was. She was good for this town, and you can see her support right here. Where is his support? You. That's it. She is the only person in this town I would count and give my life for, or give my life to.
Okay, thank you. John, you have your
I
time,
just want to
John.
ask you one question.
Go ahead.
When I was here in November, I asked you, I said, has Mr. Thayer had a review, and you said it's coming up.
Yes.
Has it been handled?
No. It will be. And if I'm saying something funny, please don't laugh. I don't appreciate that very much. We will review our city manager on this incident, first of all, John, specifically, on how this was handled. Then we'll go into a review of the work for the past year. We will do that. You have my word on it.
All right.
Okay? And this council. And if this council has anything to add, they're welcome to raise their hand and speak to the crowd. I just happen to be the mayor, and that's the mayor's job, is to run a meeting. I do the best I can.
One other thing, congratulations on your grandson becoming an attorney.
And he's right behind there with supporting me. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Rebecca T. Meyer, I live on Iron River. Would Laura still be the chief of police if she hadn't asked for a leave of absence?
That's hard to say,
That's
ma'am.
one question, and my other question is, there in the paper, you read the paper, I read the paper weekly, says, that bitch, that's what he said, and he said, a woman does not belong in this position. Why? Why? She's done it all these years.
I can't answer that, ma'am.
Well, you need to.
That's the questions we have.
No, ma'am.
We're taxpayers.
That was said in the paper. I have never heard Mr. Thayer say anything like that. I don't quote on quotes. Way in the back.
Well, I've had 18 years retired law enforcement, supervisory positions coming from firearms, DAT, and SWAT team. I have never seen anything so absolutely ridiculous on what happened to Laura. I'm here to support Laura, and hopefully the board will find it in their position to reverse this devastating decision that they mistakenly made.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Rachel? No, the lady was just that.
Kate.
Okay.
I was just wondering how the council let this go on so long. And I think this is, with the manager we have right now, I think this is just the beginning of the next problem. And I'm also wondering about the HIPAA laws that were violated over and over again with Laura. And if she decides to sue, guess who's paying? Us. So is it really worth it? And I can't believe that the council missed all those red flags. I just can't.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, way in the back there.
Me?
Yes.
I'm Amanda List. I'm from Iron Mountain. I'm a retired state trooper, actually out of the Iron River Post. I worked with Laura since November of 2000 when I transferred here. I'm also on the city council in Iron Mountain. So I actually kind of have an idea of how the government works, and I'm appalled, number one, as to why a city manager would appoint himself as an acting police chief. I know our city manager wouldn't do that. He would find the next senior police officer to do that. If he needed assistance with that, he should contact either a prosecuting attorney or another police agency within that county to do that. You could contact the state police, you could contact the sheriff's department. There are other law enforcement agencies in this county to assist with that. Regarding Laura's credibility, I can vouch for that. As a police officer, as a mother, as a friend, she is one of the most outstanding officers I've ever worked with. I've watched her interview teenagers, sex offenders, kids who have broken into buildings, people who have destroyed lives, and they have all been treated fairly. And they have all come back, not all, but many have thanked her for changing their lives, whether they've gone to jail, prison, or got a slap on the wrist, because she has treated them with respect. And they have all thanked her for that. She demands, or she deserves, the same respect. She has not been given that. To watch and see the support that she has is incredible. And to read the comments And to see just, being 45 miles away and to see how the council has treated her appalls me. And just, again, see the things on Facebook or what you hear in the paper, I had to come here and see it for myself. I'm disappointed in the council when I see comments like irreconcilable differences. This wasn't a divorce. You don't fire someone because you can't get along with them. You sit down, you try to work things out. But to fire someone who's solving murder cases that other departments were just giving up on is, I don't understand it. And again, as a retired state trooper, to have worked with this woman in law enforcement, I don't get it. So the other thing I guess I'd like to ask is why hasn't this council addressed the criminal activities that the city manager has been involved in that, again, I've only heard about, cutting a lock on an evidence room, trying to get into Laura's computer, which a city manager has no business going into police files. You're citizens. You're not privy to that information. So that needs to be addressed. I don't know why the Attorney General's office hasn't been contacted regarding ethical violations and criminal violations, but I highly recommend that that be done.
They have.
Okay. Other than that, I suggest you offer Laura her job back if she is even willing to take it at this point.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's what I have to say.
No more comments?
Sir, I have one.
I have one.
You already had the floor,
Yeah, but
ma'am.
this is a point of order, so this is not comment.
Okay.
I would like to ask the council if they are at this time considering firing Mr. Thayer. Point blank, I want to know, is that on your docket? Are you guys thinking about letting him go?
Not on our docket.
Okay, so what do we do to get you guys to do that?
You don't get us to do that, ma'am.
We don't?
No.
Okay, is everybody heard that?
Ma'am.
These are our elected
You're
officials.
losing control, ma'am.
No, I'm not.
Yes, I am going to rule you out of order. Please sit down.
There are our elected
Ma'am?
officials, and they're telling us that they don't have to listen to us or what we want. This guy wants to be he wants to be the czar of Iron River. And if we let that happen, we're gonna rue the day. And I'll leave.
That's when the police officers are removed.
Go ahead, ma'am.
I have several different questions. First, I would start by, my name is Marissa Norelli. I would like to know why you are not willing, Mr. Thayer, to work with your employees and are trying to take away their vacation and longevity. If it's such an issue, why don't you start by taking away your vacation of the 6 to 8 weeks and the $70,000+ that you demanded? Where are you at with the union contract? The police department and the public works, how long have you been working with them? Where are you at with it? Where are you at with their negotiation? I would like an answer on that.
It's been a year in the standing.
Okay, 1 minute, ma'am. One of our councilmen.
Miguel stood up and made a point of order. I'll make a point of order. This is a public comment session. This is not a question and answer session. Well, that has to be understood. You can tell us your feelings, your support for Laura, your non-support, whatever you want.
Well, my support is for his employees, not only Laura, but
Whatever.
for his employees.
But this is not a question and answer session where you ask a question and we
When I
respond
get
and we back and
receiving
forth. This
mail-
does not work that way.
But when I'm receiving letters in the mail stating that, over a year now, that you will not
Negotiate with any of their requests. They demand, okay, yeah, we'll work with you, we'll do this, we'll do that, but how about you give us this? No, a year, all right, whatever. And okay, so why was there not an officer on duty when there was a lockdown at our school on Monday, and you still want to cut down on our law enforcement? I have children in school, so I know there was a lockdown, there was no officers. I am also hearing that you are trying to impersonate an officer by taking on well-being checks. Well, first of all, that's illegal because you are impersonating an officer, and second of all, it's considered breaking and entering. And I would also like to know why there was never a sergeant or a second in command appointed after Laura was appointed as chief of police. Why has there not been an interim chief of police appointed? Because by law, you are not allowed to be an interim chief of police. It is conflict of interest, and you need to pass, or you need to be qualified. In order to qualify, you need to be a certified peace officer, you need to pass a background check, you need to be able to possess a firearm, you need to also pass a physical, and medical police training. And I don't see that any of it could be done.
Thank you. Mr. Bullock.
Mr. Thayer publicly challenged my quote in the newspaper in regards to his employment history. So, some time for today, and I would like to present those to the board.
Thank you. Okay, no further questions. We're gonna,
Terry, can I say a couple of words?
couple words, Larry, go ahead.
I've known Laura for quite a while. In last June, I think it was June, I was informed through one of my grapevines that there was a man that was going to talk to Laura about a cold case murder. It was about 25 years ago. I talked to Laura in her office because I work with the Okanagan Sheriff's Department, and also the Holden County Sheriff's Department. And in that time period, we had four different persons that disappeared. Only one of those cases has ever been solved. I offered to come down and see Laura and talk to her in detail about that, but I didn't know a lot about those 3 other cases. She told me to get back to you in a week. I never heard from her again. Anyway, another thing that was brought up in this whole situation, that's been brought up here many times, is about the police department. She wanted to hire another officer, at least one, and a full-time clerk. He's responsible for the budget for this city. There is no money in that budget for a $50,000 officer or a $30,000 clerk. And another thing, Iron River right now has got far more police protection than Gaston and Gaston. They've got one officer up there who works 40 hours a week. That's 75% of the time that they don't have anybody covered at all. Then, another thing. I've always been able to talk to him, and he's got things done. He listens. We've had several projects that have been done around here. The repaving of Stanville Avenue for one. That was a disaster up there with potholes last summer. We got that fixed. We got the water problems done. I think it's Ganamino Park.
They know me.
You know, anyway, the one on 4th Avenue. That got fixed. The water problem over on Jackson Street got fixed. And there's been several other things that he's done, all with a limited budget. I think the guy deserves a fair chance.
Thank you.
Sounds low.
Way in the back there with the hand up.
Dennis Sisnett. I only come to these meetings when they're going to be like this, because this is the only time people come out and there's some issue that's prompting them. And it's only the people that come out that are in support of the person that is whatever the issue is. I'm here to tell this council that there are many people out there that have had terrible experiences with Mrs. Frizzo. There's many experiences that the city's had that she's gotten them into, trouble she's gotten them into, that they continue to have to fight today and spend money on, or the city's insurance company has to spend money on because of things that she just doesn't like to do, treats people the way she decides she wants to treat them, doesn't restrain her officers to not have them get in trouble and have people sue the city because their officers are out of line. And all those things, nobody hears about those because they don't come to this meeting, okay? Somebody files a lawsuit, there's a litigation going on, but nobody comes here and says anything about it. It goes on, the city knows about it. But the council, if you don't know about it, need to know about it. And the people that are here thinking that she does no wrong need to know there's lots wrong that she does. And just because you're hearing one side, you're hearing the supporters of her, that's not the whole story. That's all.
Thank you. Anybody else? This gentleman here had his hands up.
Jason Asselin from Iron Mountain, Michigan. I'm the one who started that petition online. And I heard somebody talk about, I wonder how many Iron River residents actually signed this? 235 Iron River residents.
How many were not Iron River residents?
Well, there's close to 800 signed on here, so 235 minus that, we're looking at what?
About 600?
Roughly that.
Yeah, I kept track of your, and nice to meet you. I've never met you, but I've been watching the signatures. And it's hard for me to really get involved in it when I see people from Kentucky and Ohio and Dallas, Texas signing this petition. I'm thinking, do they have something in common with Iron River? But no disrespect.
No disrespect taken, but I think it's mostly to do with respecting law enforcement, backing our blue, and doing what we can for them. So
That's fine.
I'll make sure to leave this copy with your clerk when I leave.
Thank you. Mr. Grabowski.
As a police officer here in Iron River, 21 years, I can comment on this situation, but on Mr. Tuesnot. Everybody knows Mr. Tuesnot, everybody knows he likes to sue police, everybody knows he's got a problem with police. You know what? I'm offended that that generalizes us as uncontrollable. Not exactly what he said, but that's basically what he said. And again, if everybody knows Mr. Tuesnot, they know he likes to sue police.
Thank you. No further questions. We're moving on with our agenda, people. Oh, excuse me. Go ahead. Jeez. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to address everybody, reminding us all, there's always two sides to a story. We are not at liberty to disclose all this information because, quite frankly, some of it's private. What I can say is that to please trust that the decisions that we make have the best interest of Iron River. That is our focus, Iron River, because I support Iron River. What I ask of you is to believe as a community that we create unity for the greater good of everyone. We can agree to disagree on anything, but have the choice to align for the greater good of everyone. We're the strongest together, united. And with that, we create an unstoppable town where everybody wants to live. Thank you.
Thank you. If not, we're moving on. We're going to move on to our agenda. I'm going to be asking for the approval of adding 2 items to our agenda. Boss V-Plow and lift station purchase. Boss V-Plow, add to the agenda. Motion, support, all in favor? Aye. The lift station pump purchase. Motion, Jerry, and all in favor? Aye. Please, if your business is done, can we let us do our business, please? Thank you. Thank you for all attending and giving us your viewpoint. Thank you.
Hey, how are you doing? Good.
Okay, we can continue on with our meeting. The approval of our minutes of November 9th, regular meeting minutes. Everybody read them? Any additions or corrections? None? Ed, support, Dan, all in favor? Aye. Consent agenda, November 7th, DDA regular minutes, DPW report. Motion to accept. Support, all in favor? Aye. Next report is our attorney's report.
Pretty brief this month, the time I spent on it, this mostly dealing with the labor issues and litigation requests.
that's it.
Do you have any other comments, Mark?
No, I mean, they're moving forward. It's been a long time. Let's see what's next forward. This whole thing's just moving a distraction.
You feel like the city's moving in the right direction?
Well, I think you handled the meeting properly, Ted.
Thank you. Managers report, David?
There's been little progress with the two different union negotiations. Was optimistic, we had a meeting yesterday with DPW, and they're firmly entrenched with.
That door needs to remain open.
Yeah, we can't close it, Justin.
They were really
I
loud.
understand it, but they're liable to get us for that. We gotta be careful. Just ask them to be a little quiet. Go ahead, David.
They're entrenched with a couple issues, and then issues that I thought were resolved, they stated that they didn't agree, so it is now moving on to fact finding. Police union has yet to want to schedule a time to discuss. Both contracts expired July 1st. There's been one meeting with police, and there's been about 4 meetings with the DPW. I don't expect any resolution anytime soon.
But the meetings are going on, meetings, and you meet with these people, try to get these things resolved, and things just keep coming up.
Yes, so except for the police, there hasn't been any interest in negotiating these for 6 months.
No interest in negotiating. Okay. John?
On those union contracts there, if at some point they decide to settle, are they going to go back reciprocal to where the contract ended?
The DPW contract does not, but the police contract does,
Why doesn't the DPW?
because of the legislation that governs it. The police department was exempt from that law that talked about retroactivity of contracts. Police and firefighters.
So the DPW doesn't?
No.
Why can't that be changed?
It's a matter of state law, adopted through state legislature now. It's a state law. You cannot go retroactive on public employee contracts any longer, unless the police are right.
Look into that, John. Let us know what you find out. Go ahead, David. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The state of Michigan has decided to grant local governments a higher priority to obtain surplus property, especially vehicles. What cities are finding is that purchasing procedures don't really allow to participate in an active ongoing auction, which is the process for obtaining these pieces of equipment. And I was wondering if you want to amend our purchasing procedures so that we would be able to participate in a live auction for vehicles. And if so, I will draft the proposal.
Any thoughts, gentlemen?
Well, it's a policy. Right now, well, there's there's no policies to deal with active auctions, this property would be auctioned off at a real auction, live auction. Cities across the state are looking at this and amending policies. So
I'd like to look at one, some kind of policy that would give you a chance, and for the benefit of the city, to go to an auction, buy something at an auction rather than something to look at with it all. But I can support it.
Yes. Well, it's not.
I applied.
What happens, let's say the Michigan Department of Transportation would have a snowplow that they're auctioning off. It's a live auction, and to the highest bidder it goes. And so there would not be a set price that you'd be knowing about. So you need to authorize that to take place, define your parameters along those lines.
Okay. John on the floor.
Who would be authorized to bid on those vehicles?
Cities, local governments, townships, cities, and counties.
Okay, there has to be a hidden person.
Pardon me?
Who would be the person?
That would be in the policy, John.
Pardon?
If we drop a policy or do that, it would be in the policy, who the person would be or who's going to do it. Okay?
Go ahead, David.
Something that we don't know now. Go ahead.
Okay. The Upper Peninsula Substance Enforcement Team sent us a letter requesting a donation for the 2017 operations. My research shows that 2012 through 2015, we made a contribution of $1,000. I do not find anywhere in our records that we made a contribution for 2016. What is your pleasure for 2017 in response to the request?
Make a motion that we, all you want. Support? Yeah, I read the letter they sent us. They do a lot of work for us. I remember the gentleman was here, gave a presentation. Okay, there is a motion on the floor. There has been support. Roll call vote, please.
Councilperson Fritchie?
Yes.
Councilperson Marcel?
Yes.
Councilperson Mercier?
Yes.
Councilperson Baumgartner?
Yes.
Mayor Tarsney?
Yes. Go ahead, David.
The Adams Street City Hall parking lot is in need of refurbishing and striping. Part of the project that we have had conversations with the library. I've asked to get some information as to the protocols and specifications, and I've had conversations with Farner Asphalt Sealers, and the project appears going to be close to $7,000. I would like to prepare and do a bidding process this winter so we could go with it when the season becomes available in May or June. The money I've identified would come from the City Hall Cost Center, and there's monies in there to pay for that amount. I would like to know if you'd like me to set up a bidding process for this.
That's the lot where the library
Yes.
just did all the improvements? I would like to see it. I don't know if the rest of the council. All of us.
Need a motion?
You need a
No,
motion?
No, just,
All
I'll prepare the bids and bring it back.
right. Okay. This item number 5 just seemed to just come out of the thin air. And I want to thank you publicly for keeping the city hall heated for the last 5 days, because one of our boilers went down. This man spent most of his time in this city hall feeding it water so we could have heat here and our water lines wouldn't freeze. That's something people don't see. But he spent a lot of nights. I wasn't aware of this just until yesterday, that it was spent here at City Hall, keeping this place from freezing up. Go ahead, David.
On November 22nd, we had our annual inspection for the boilers, and all of them were inspected. We had 2 repairs. We did the boiler number 2, and we're given a clean bill of health. The very next day, the circulating pump quit. The bearings went out on it. So we had that rebuilt. In the process of reinstalling it, we found out the bearings to the motor, which were repaired, was fine, but the bearings going to the pump, which was causing the bearings to the motor to wear out. And we're at the point now that we're going to have to replace the pump for the circulating pump. In addition, on the Wednesday when we had the inspection, the pump goes out on Thursday. 2 weeks ago, Saturday, we lost water pressure and there is no heat in the building. On that Sunday morning when I came in, it was 40 degrees. I added water, all that last week. I had an inspector and mechanical engineer here yesterday. We went through the system. As I couldn't find a leak, he couldn't find a leak. We then determined that there was a dripping process in boiler number 2, in the boiler, and because of the heat, it's evaporating, becoming steam and going up through, so that's why we couldn't find water. And I just, yesterday, had a hard time believing that the amount of water I'm putting in, 60, 80 gallons of water into a closed system, that could happen. But when you start to think about it, boiler number 2 has been out of service since June. We brought it back on the 22nd, and that boiler and the problem we have with evaporation is what's causing our problem. We're going to have to replace that boiler. The estimate I have is somewhere between $14,000 and $18,000. The boiler is a 1999 was when it was installed. It has a shelf life of about 20 years. So we were close to being in the position to have to replace that, as well as boiler number 3. I'm having some quotes prepared, and I will present them as soon as I have them for you. This is going to be where we're going to have to scratch. I would imagine, given the amount, because between the 2 of them, we're probably close to $20,000. This will be one of those issues probably will come out of our fund balance. But without it, we don't have any.
Gotta keep Rachel warm. Any questions, comments? If not, we'll move on to item number 6.
I got one here, Jerry.
Yes,
What's the BTUs of those boilers?
I don't have that number. It's, the next step up from 75,000.
100,000.
Are they,
It's a series of boilers, it's a step.
There's 3 of them.
It's a step deal.
yeah,
You know, when it's warmer out, you only need one. It gets colder, you add it, you kick in the next one. If it really gets cold, you got all 3 of them.
yeah.
Like that, and I don't know, I have not been in there. I was a licensed boiler installer in the state of Michigan. I am not no more because I'm retired, but I know what's going on.
Okay.
Well, I did heating and cooling for 40 years, so. In a union job.
Thank you, John. Go ahead, Dave.
I advertised for the building superintendent custodian, received a number of applications. Hopefully I'll have the successful candidate in place on January 3rd.
Thank you. That takes care of the manager's report. Motion to accept? Moved and supported by Ed and Trish. All in favor? Aye. Accounts payable report. You have a copy of the check register with the bills we've paid, amounting to $322,650.40. Anybody have any questions regarding the items? If not, we'll have a motion to accept and file.
I had one here. What is Cargill Incorporated? Number 38039, $6,000 to Cargill.
Road salt.
Oh, okay.
Anything else? Not? Motion to approve. Trish made a motion, support? Dan? Support. Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Councilperson Baumgartner?
Yes.
Councilperson Marcel?
Yes.
Councilperson Fritchie?
Yes.
Councilperson Mercier?
Yes.
Mayor Turston?
Yes. We also have a copy of our fiscal year report through November, showing the revenues, showing expenditures. And you can see that in the expenditures, 42% of the budget along with revenues. We're doing pretty well. Would you say, David?
Well, we're at 49%, but if you look at our road funds, which we spent early part of the year, we're tracking fairly well. The general fund itself is tracking well, so we're in pretty good shape. As we projected, it would be back in May.
So our finances are pretty good. Thank you. We also have an invoice from our city attorney. You want to make a motion to approve it? Moved and approved. Supported. Roll call vote, please.
Do you want to do the financial?
Both of them at the same time, Rachel.
Okay. Councilperson Baumgartner?
Was there a question on that?
No, I'll have a comment after we're done.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Councilperson Fritchie?
Yes.
Councilperson Mercier?
Yes.
Councilperson Marcel? Mayor Turston?
Yes. Okay, Mark.
One of the things that slipped through the cracks this month, I didn't put on my report, is I was advised by the county's attorney, Mr. Tinky, that they were closing the deal with Global Response, and that the language in the deed specifically addresses and reserves out the city's ownership of the generator up there, just so you know that.
Yeah, we've been hoping this was going to transpire, so it's happening. Thanks, Jim. Okay, nothing under unfinished. We'll move on to new business, set the meeting dates and times for the next year's meetings. And we have a tentative schedule here, if that meets with the approval of the board.
I
Dan?
For the last 2 years, we've had seasonal meetings, one 6 o'clock meeting every 3 months. I think it's worked out pretty well. We're starting to get pretty good attendance.
Okay.
So I think maybe 4, like we did last year.
Okay, there's 2 in this
Right.
one. You want to add 2?
Yeah, 2.
And where would you like to see us meet at 6 o'clock?
I think we had one this year at December, it was September, June, and March. Yeah, one season, one in the spring, one in the summer, one in the fall, and one in the, kind of winter.
From like March,
20th
June,
of
September,
is gonna be-
December?
So at that,
We're looking at,
people that can't attend during the day.
Yeah, I
have a
understand.
chance in the evening.
Sure.
Okay,
June or July, one of those.
Okay, let's look at April's already got one.
Right, so it'll be-
Let's go to June, September, and December. Okay? And we hope for a lot of people to come and talk to us about what's going on in the city. We give them time to come after they're done with their jobs, strenuous day on their job, come and relax with the city of Iron River.
I don't have a problem with
February,
Maybe I won't be in town.
okay, we'll see that we can do that. Can we go with this schedule here then? Just, I changed, I moved June as a 6 o'clock meeting and December as a 6 o'clock meeting. That meet everybody's approval?
So moved.
Okay.
Accept that.
Support? Moved and supported. Roll call vote, please.
Councilperson Mercier?
Yes.
Councilperson Marcel?
Yes.
Councilperson Pritchie?
Yes.
Councilperson Baumgartner?
Yes.
Mayor Tarsi?
Yes. We got to reaffirm our depositories of city funds for 2017.
Vote to return the.
I got a question for the city meetings. When are they?
Pardon me?
When are they? Like third Wednesday, second Wednesday? I don't remember.
They're the third Wednesday of each month.
Okay.
We try to make it.
Right.
Unless deer season comes up or something, we have to change a date or something.
Right.
But we let people know. Okay, we got, you made a motion, Jerry?
To reaffirm the depositories for the city.
And support?
Support.
Moved and supported. And just a little information, we use all the lending institutions in the town.
Wells Fargo,
Yeah.
Irish State, Co-Vantage, and First Merit.
Yes.
Those are the
So
four.
we don't give our business to just one. We try to
Share the
share the wealth.
The copy of being they're all fair rate insured institutions.
Yes.
There's five.
Oh, the odd one there is First.
All in favor of them?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. MDOT performance resolution. Dave, you want to take care of
This
that?
is our permit to have activities on the state front line. For instance, if indeed someone in the city would have a banner across the road, this would give us a permit to apply for that. It deals when we would have road work on the side of the road. This gives us access to the trunk lines coming through the city.
And this is the standard,
We, yes, annually review.
Any questions? If not, motion to go ahead with it. Motion by Ed, support by Trish. All in favor? Aye. RRC resolution. David?
As I mentioned, the state of Michigan is moving towards economic development, holding communities to a certain standard where they have best practices in place. They have zoning that assists the recruiting of businesses. And in order to receive any federal monies in the future, a city would have to be enrolled in the Redevelopment Ready Communities program. The first step is to have a resolution of intent filed with the state, which was this resolution. The second step is to do a self-assessment. The third step would be then the state would review your self-assessment, would give you a dictate of things you need to put in place. And once that is done, then we would be eligible for funding. And we would then continue to work to implement the 6 best practices that they
Meets with everybody's approval. Any questions, comments? Not? Motion to go along with it?
So moved.
Dan, support, Trish. Roll call vote, please.
Councilperson Pritchie?
yes.
Councilperson Marcel?
Yes.
Councilperson Mercier?
Yes.
Councilperson Baumgartner?
Yes.
Mayor Tarsi?
Yes. We're going to be possibly signing a reciprocal water usage agreement with Caspin. David negotiated something here. Going to pass it on.
What we have had is a checkered past of how we've handled when one city uses the other city's water supply to serve their constituents. And in our discussion is that to have a reciprocal agreement that has been approved by both councils, that we would charge $75 per day for the use of that water. And if indeed any expected use would be on 60 days, that would be an independently negotiated agreement. This right here will give certainty and surety as to how we will interact with each other. The $75 is what we estimate to cover our costs.
Sounds good to me. Dan? Ed? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Next item, I want to thank you very much for sitting, listening to us all this time. I can understand it's a little strenuous, but come on up here in front, please. This is the gentleman and his wife that are going to be running the Iron Line races this year. Josh passed the baton on to you.
A good way to say it.
Yeah. But I want to thank you again. You were at our DDA meeting. And I'm sorry it took you so long to get here, but thank you.
At least it shows people care about their community.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay. Nice way to put it.
Yeah. I'm Adam Kicker, and this is my wife Amanda. We are the directors of the Iron Line sled dog race starting this year. It is our 5th year going to the race, and we are coming to the city, as the past directors have, to request a grant of funds to help fund the race. We are asking for approximately 7% less than we have the past year. Each year we kind of ask for less as the race becomes more and more economically viable itself. But we're asking for $3,500 from the city, and that helps cover our insurance costs so that if anybody gets hurt, the city, the chamber, any of the land we use, they're all covered. Liability is covered, as well as ourselves personally, and any of our volunteers. And then the rest of the money is going towards spending on marketing, both in Iron River and then in surrounding communities, so that we can help draw more people to the community and for the event, and hopefully bring more dollars and just a better sense of what Iron River is. Most people I talk to when they come to events, I know we participated in Harvest and Pond, they come and they say, I had no idea what an amazing town Iron River was, and we're trying to just help promote that community vitality with our race.
Thank you. Along with the $3,500, cooperation from the city, has it been okay with you? I mean, it seems like everybody's trying to get this thing going.
Yeah, and it's our first year. Everybody has a lot of good ideas. Some of them are big ideas. It's not always possible to achieve all those, but the city has definitely stepped forward when they suggest ideas to help try to make sure they happen. David Fair brought up the idea of a downtown start, which has been brought forward before, but he also brought with it the commitment to actually help make it happen. Now, there was disagreement that ultimately came down to we are just not a big enough race with enough volunteers to pull something like that off, at least this year. And it's something we'll revisit in the future, but yes, the city has made an effort to work with us, and I appreciate that.
There was no lack of communications, was there?
If anything, it would be more of a lack on our side than the other way around.
Thank you. Any board members have any questions? David, do you have anything to say?
No, the race is in its 5th year, it's going through new leadership and a transition with that. I think once they get through this year and have that experience, that they'll be able to possibly come up with new ways for funding sources, which will be always the Achilles heel of making this work.
I make a motion to 35.
We're gonna do that to preserve our heritage and promote our culture. Thank you. Support to that motion? Roll call vote, please.
Councilperson Fritchie?
Yes.
Councilperson Mercier?
Yes.
Councilperson Marcel?
Yes.
Councilperson Baumgartner? Mayor Tarsney?
Yes. Thank you for the long wait. Good luck on your race. If there's anything more the city can do, David will certainly help you, or try. We're gonna move on to the GEI proposal of the former Wardo building. Building that's in the middle of Main Street, that's vacant. We've had a engineering company look at it. David has some proposals he'd like to run by us. Just hang on to your chairs because they're not cheap. Go ahead, David.
We purchased this building for $1 rather than waiting for 3 years where it would come back on the tax foreclosure. And we've had, working with GEI, we've looked at the building. We've tried to come forth with what we should do with it. And like all things, cost is really dictating the direction we're going. But we had three proposals we were looking at. One was demolition of the building and returning the site to a green space. 2 is stabilizing the building. And 3 is renovating the building to a point that it would be available for sale. The cost estimate that we have for demolition is $131,000. The cost for stabilization is $286,000. And the cost of renovation, which would just get it to the point of being sold, and there'd still be additional cost to get it ready for business, would be $425,000. What I would like at this time is to decide the direction where we want to go. And if indeed, my recommendation would be the demolition of the building, and if that's the concurrence, then I would try to identify the funds in which we would tear it down. I've approached the state. I thought I had a lead of getting a participatory grant, and I was informed this last 2 weeks that I not to look forward towards that unless I would have an active developer involved in the project, which we don't at this time.
We've gone through this with the coast-to-coast store. And we spent a lot of money to tear that building down, but it was more required at the time because of its condition. It was a hazard to the public. And we have parades in front, and we have bricks that were falling off of that building, endangering our children and so forth. So the council had to take action. We couldn't let that building stand the way it was because of the liability. And I really am concerned about spending $130,000+ to tear down a building that leaves a space in the middle of town. It's not going to get developed, and it's going to look ugly. And the way it looks now is a lot better than what it's going to look if you have a green space. I really find it difficult to take this on right now. I think we got to think about this very seriously.
Well, I know the back of the building is pretty well gone.
Yes, it is.
It's caved in.
We have to do something
Yeah.
to remediate somewhat.
Okay, somebody had a hand up, John?
Did you get a bid for all 3 of them for one contractor?
We haven't
No,
got any.
no, there are
bids
no
yet.
bids,
Or
right?
that's just an estimate?
We have engineer estimates.
Yeah, that's another question. Where does this GEI come in? I mean,
They
every
come
time
from
we go
Ice Lake
to something, GEI's in there.
Well, they're a local engineering firm.
Local
It doesn't
engineering.
say we don't have to bid this out. They were kind enough to say to us, we'll go in there and take a walkthrough for you.
They're doing it free grant.
Well, they went through and they did a walkthrough, right, David?
Everything they've done to date has been free gratis.
Okay.
We'll use that word.
They're a local business.
Yep, I
And,
understand.
you know, we'd like to, but nothing to say we're not gonna bid it out.
All right.
Larry?
Just a question on this, before you make a decision one way or the other. Has there been any solicitations, or whatever you want to call it, to anybody on the outside that says, if we have this building, we will come in and buy it or lease it or whatever? Because there's no point in putting a building back together if you got nobody that wants it.
David?
Well, the history of the building is that the utilization of it was down to almost nothing. Crest Oil sold it to a local businessman for $5,000. The roof then caved in. He sold it to a person out of Traverse City for $1, and that person then became unattachable for serve a citation for the dangerous building. We hired a person out of Traverse City as a service processor. That same person had 5 other warrants in which to serve on this person, was unable to do so within the 90-day window we had to do. The economic vitality of this building, I think, is a minus number. It could be anywhere from a minus 150 to wherever the ceiling would be on that. As far as trying to market this, the building, we haven't had any inquiries at all. People know that we paid $1 for the building. in order to address the blight issue that it causes, and also to address the dangerous situation of a building that's half caved in. We did have, with the assistance of Trish and her friends, paint the windows so we don't have to look at the blight condition, and that improved a lot, but it hasn't changed the situation in that we have three choices. We can tear it down and hope to recruit somebody, a developer, that would be more willing to go in without all the risk, or we can stabilize it for about 286,000, or we can go forward and do the renovations with heat, electricity for 425,000. But I don't know how we would identify the monies to do so, and I would question the wisdom of doing so, because it would never be, you'll never receive a return on that investment. And there's no way, if we stabilize the building for $286,000, there's no one gonna pay $286,000 for that building when it's still in the condition it is.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's no point in putting close to $500,000 into a building that nobody wants. If we could put out some flyers and ask about that, that should be done before we do anything, make a decision one way or the other.
I think some discussions have been held in that regard, people that did the central school, but it cost the city, how much money for central school? $700,000 to go along with the person that put over $1 million in it. So, I'm just using rough numbers, but it's pretty hard to find them people right now. We'll search, we're not making a decision on what we're gonna do here. David's trying to get a consensus like he did with the DDA Monday, and the DDA said, go ahead and research it, go ahead and see what something maybe can be done. He's just looking for an approval. We're not gonna go spending any money. We just want to get a consensus of the city council. The DDA board said, go ahead, see what you can find out for us, report back at the next meeting. We have that option to do that here.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Any other, you want to make a motion?
It's a little bit more specific than that. Is that we've got
Thank
three
you.
options. And we need to choose an option, because my next step is then to identify funds to take care of that option. And if indeed we would choose to go with stabilization or renovation, then I have to look at a loan type situation. Right now, I'm looking at potentially internal funds between the DDA and the city in which we could tear this down. Once I identify that, then present what our options are with funding, and then get a consensus whether or not to put that out to bid. At that point in time, GEI would like to be involved with the bids and the specifications for what we do.
Isn't that what I said?
Well, I'm looking for firm direction between the three options for what I need to go to do.
All right.
As much as I don't want to see the building go down, because I don't want green space, I think it is the best option.
Take it down. You want David to look into that. That's what the DDA said. Anybody else have anything they want to? If not, you want to make a
I
motion?
feel like if it's taken down, and that'll be our most economical way to do it. It costs us the less lease, but it could be desirable for somebody to come in and build something, and it is a big space.
I
It
just
could
don't
be.
understand why we spend $131,000
But
to
something has to be
stabilize.
done. No, that's to tear it down.
That's a tear down.
That's to tear it down.
That's to get rid of it. You double that, triple that,
Stabilizing
Stabilize
it.
And that's
There's
only,
no
that's only an
guarantee.
engineer's estimate.
Yeah.
So bidders, like was discussed at the DDA meeting, right now, contractors are at a low pace right now. They don't have a lot to do. Maybe it'd be the time to go and talk to them now, get some ideas from some of the local people on getting it down. Maybe they'd be looking forward to bringing their crew in, their equipment in, at a lot less cost than the $135,000.
That's what I'm talking about. And when I
Yeah.
said stabilizing, I didn't mean option two.
No, I understand.
I'm talking about in a position where it's not gonna be rat infested, where it's not gonna be a hazard.
Yeah.
It has its own independent walls. Surely we could do that thing for less than $131,000.
The problem is we have to rebuild the roof. And the
Not the whole
reason,
roof, just
well,
that.
well, it's more than that, is that the structure has been compromised across. of all the trusses on that. And so when you start going, then you have also two walls that you have to re-stabilize, and then the rebuilding of it.
I would like to see the inside. I'm not a structural engineer, but I would like to see the inside.
Yeah, we might get a very different perspective.
Anytime you want.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
No,
Let's not jump in.
yeah. No, we're not jumping in, Dan, trust me.
One other question.
Yes, Larry?
Does that building have a common wall in another building, like
No.
Coast to Coast did?
No.
Okay, well, that's not a problem. Okay.
But don't even have a common back wall, because it's not there anymore. Okay, consensus of the board is you want to have David go pursue option number 1, see what we can do about, just bring back something to us.
To try to identify funds to take care of that.
That's all. We're not committing any money, no money.
Are we committing the 4,600 for TEI to look into this?
Not at this time. If we can't identify the funds to do this, then we've got to go back to the drawing board altogether. And there's just no state funds, and I had the representative who is now our liaison, and she just said until you get a developer involved in it, they won't be involved in it.
So I would like to see them play a part in this decision, rather than just tear it down. Part of that.
So can we have a motion to have David proceed in that fashion? And roll call vote, please.
Councilperson Baumgartner?
Yes.
Councilperson Fritchie?
Yes.
Councilperson Marcel? Councilperson Mercier? And Mayor Tursey?
Yes. Under H, employee recognition stipend. What's that all about?
Chris,
At this time of year, we have had a tradition recognizing our employees and their contribution to promote a positive relationship amongst each other. Over the years, IRS has really tightened down how you can do things. And what they do allow is that you're not allowed to have gifts and those sorts of things, but you can have a stipend that recognizes that's considered part of their wage package. Last year, we provided each full-time and part-time person $50 stipend. That was handled through payroll with the taxes being deducted, which is a step that's approved by IRS. And I think this would be good for the employee morale.
I know we do this stipend.
Support? Roll call vote?
Councilperson Mercier?
yes.
Councilperson Marcel?
Yes.
Councilperson Fritchie?
Yes.
Councilperson Baumgartner?
Yes.
Mayor Tursey?
Santa Claus says yes. The additional items under I, Boss V plow purchase.
When we bought the 2016 Super Duty, we made the decision at that time not to purchase the plow that would go with it. We use the plows to plow our alleys, and the alleys to many of our residents are just as important as our streets because that's the access to their homes. I went through the Michigan My Deal program, and they will have a program potentially in March that will deal specifically with plows. But I then contacted the dealer we purchased the vehicle from and got his information that in order to get the Boss V plow that we're looking for that truck, their price is about, the My Deal price, if you would have bought it at the same time, was $6,800. And then he says, be careful not to just buy it, make sure they throw in some things such as the snow flap and deflector, which is about $125. And I went then to our local dealer, which is Linwall Motors, and they gave me a quote of $6,925, which would match the state My Deal program, so that's a very good price. And they are charging the $125 for the flap, which is it's a good piece of health equipment to control the direction of the snow. Yes. And I would recommend that we would purchase from the Lindwall holders their proposal for $6,925.
Any
It
questions?
comes from our motor vehicle fund, which we accumulate to buy equipment.
Did you check out the snow?
Hold it, Larry, hold it, let me get it on the
Okay.
floor first, okay? There's been a recommendation from the manager to buy the deep haul from Lindwall's for 6,925. Anybody would like to make a motion towards that effect? To buy the plow from Lindwall's, Ed, support? Moved and supported. Okay, Larry, go ahead.
Did you check out the snow dog at K&D up in Stanley, Old Stanley? That's a pretty good plow too, and I think it's actually lighter than
The specifications that staff presented to me that would go uniform with our existing fleet is the Boss plow. There's all the conversations about the Western plow, but the performances of the Boss is what they prefer. Our local area representative is Lindwall's, and that's what we went to them.
That's a deep haul, right?
Yeah, well, I think they got a big plow up there too, it's basically the same size. And I think their prices are better, but I wouldn't swear to that.
Sir?
Just a comment on what he's saying. They're actually made by an ex-Boss employee to compete with the Boss snowplow and the road afterwards.
Into that, David?
Whatever your pleasure.
Okay, let's, because he is a local man too, let's go and see.
What he
So,
has.
yeah. You want to retract, rescind the motion, rescind the support? Okay. Carried. Okay? All right, let's go and see what you can do with the place on top of the hill. All right, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. The next item is the lift station pump purchase.
On the Homer Road lift station, unfortunately, someone decided to flush a towel down the drain. It got caught up in our pump, and when we shipped it down for potential warranty work in North Carolina, when they tore it apart, they found the towel there. That took it out of warranty. We had one on the shelf because of emergency situations such as that. We need to have the lift station working. We now need to replace that pump. And Energetics is the company that we work with, and is also the supplier of these that fit into our station. And the price they quoted was $4,107.25. And we recommend we make that purchase so that we will have a pump on hand in case we have another emergency.
Any questions? So, it's a grinder, isn't it?
Pardon?
What's a grinder? It grinds with it, grind it whole. Motion made, support? Okay, supported. There's nobody in Iron River that makes them pumps, is there? No.
There's
Okay, that's just referring to Larry's comment. Roll call vote, please.
Councilperson Fritchie?
Yes.
Councilperson Marcel?
Yes.
Councilperson Mercier? Yes. Councilperson Baumgartner?
Yes.
Mayor Harrison?
Yes. Public comment, is there any left out there?
Yeah, again. Regarding that MDOT performance resolution, you already basically approved. Has that got any bearing on Extambo Avenue where we restricted the truck traffic last summer?
no.
None at all?
This right here gives us permit to access and utilize features along the state trunk lines as they go through the city.
But the other thing on that Extambo Avenue, and I remember how many others we had, we're gonna restrict truck traffic. I've never seen a sign put up on that. It says it's restricted.
We have it in the ordinance, which we did and published that. And as far as having, the ordinance states is that all streets are restricted to any truck in excess of $30,000 pounds that's not making a delivery to or a pickup from, that doesn't access the designated truck routes in town.
I guess somebody from the outside is supposed to know that.
The other, can't really tell you, but I would hope that they'd be using state trunk lines. We're looking in the fact of street name change on Ice Lake Road West and potentially having a sign there, but there's not signs on that street yet.
Thank you, Larry.
Yeah.
John?
The situation of blighted houses. What's the situation?
We have a lot of them.
Well, I've been here almost 5 years. I'm looking at a house with 2 mattresses and an old toilet sitting outside.
We have had officers attend to these complaints on a regular basis. We've ticketed them. We've had seen some performance and some non-performance. I don't know the particular one you're talking about, but when we ticketed them, they then abandoned the house. And so I don't know which one you're speaking, but we do review those complaints. We have people out reviewing and identifying them. But what I'm looking at is even a bigger issue is the dangerous buildings that are abandoned that need to be tore down. And I'm looking for funds and able to do that. I would like to be able to identify enough funds so we can take down strategically the 40 worst houses in this town and combine them with an available lot next to it that would create a desirable building site for a future home.
Between Riverside and Lay Avenue, there's probably 6 houses in one neighborhood that's just sitting there. The people have either walked away, maybe they're on the tax rolls, maybe they're paying the taxes. Why would you? But it's right at the bottom of Riverside and Maple. It's a blue house. And it's terrible.
I totally agree with you. I can take you to about 15 houses
I know they're
that
out
we've
there.
had here in the city since I've been here, and I'm sure all these commissioners would agree with me, that if it was possible that we could go and tear these down and take them to a local landfill and dump them off, it'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
But we have to go through asbestos removal, we have to go through lead paint removal, we've got to go to certain landfills to dump roofs, certain landfills for bricks, certain landfill for boards. To tear down a 2-story home, what's the estimate?
13 and 15,000 a piece.
We would love to. I know one on 7th Street's got a half a basement. It's been like that for 8 years. Can't do nothing about it.
You went flowing down.
I mean, we would love to, John. We would love to. Yes, sir.
What about offering them to the ones that are away from other homes, just an idea, offering them to the fire department for training?
I don't think you're allowed to do that
Can't
anymore. I was
run
in,
anymore.
we used to be able to when I was in the fire department, but I don't think you're allowed to.
Asphalt roofs on, the DNR will not let you touch that.
Just an idea.
Yeah. What's amazing about it is, if you own the home, and you got your own bulldozer and your own excavator, you can tear it down, you don't even have to worry about the asbestos or the lead paint, because you own the home. But a municipality has to go through all the rules. Yes, ma'am.
In regards to Wardles, if you have to tear it down, instead of having a gaping hole there, maybe you could put up a fake wall that looks like a part of the town, Main Street, and put a park back there with a doorway and picnic tables and a few trees.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have another hole in the middle of town. Just make it nice.
Like the library did.
Yeah.
Be nice. Okay. Any other comments?
Again, I'm going to bring it up about why is there still no snow plowing or snow removal before 5 a.m.
We have, it's based on the conditions. We try to target 5 o'clock as a start time, which works with our shifts.
But in turn, it doesn't cost you any more if you put them on an 8-hour shift, as long as there's a 5-hour break in between the 2 shifts. It doesn't cost you any more money to put them on at 2 o'clock in the morning and have our streets clean for our buses. You're putting our children's safety at risk. That's what I look at. I could care less if I crashed into a freaking tree on my way to work or somebody's else. But my children are my life. And that's what I look at. These children have to walk through 2 feet of snow on sidewalks and everything because nobody's out cleaning them.
Well, that's something you're gonna have to maybe try and work out with your superintendent, of public works. See if you can work out some type of a schedule. Okay?
And I would also have one more question. On the union thing, now, was any of this, with the negotiations, brought up to any of your council just for another opinion?
Yes.
Oh, I just got asked Dave, we repaved some streets recently, they look really nice and stuff. Right after they got repaved, shortly after that, we had like a wet spell. And you can see where they're already checking or cracking a little bit. Is there any follow-up, like to do, I work for the power company, so I run into your foreman. And I know he worked for DEI or whatever at one time, and me and him talked about it. And just to like maintenance those new roads so they don't fall apart, like the tarring and the, is there any possible follow-up on those, Dave, just to keep them kind of intact for a few years?
We do have a road maintenance program to preserve it, as we did with Washington this year, where we did our seal crack program. The useful life of Stanbol, and I've noticed it as well, should get us through that 5-year period before you would ever look into that, but we will monitor on a regular basis to maintain the integrity of that road. The projected life of that project that we did was 10 years. That was the funds that we had available to do that. So it was a mill and fill with an 1.5 inch topping on it. We didn't have monies to go in and to do reshaping of the road bed and that. So it was a 10-year plan at best, 5 years expected before we'd have to do the maintenance on it, but we will monitor that. And if indeed it starts to deteriorate, we will do the crack seal.
Yeah, and I don't know the cost of any of that, and I know you're stretching budgets already, but to spend that kind of money, and I know once the moisture gets in there and then it freezes, it really buckles those things down.
We'll be monitoring that.
Thank you. John?
Yeah, on my plowing there on Hemlock, we just about tore everything out right down to my driveway here, all the asphalt. What can you do about that?
Well, could you, again, a little more detail?
We got the road and then the approach to my driveway.
Okay.
Where they plowed, they scraped out all the asphalt down to the concrete.
On how much? I'll ask.
Okay. Any council comments? If not, we'll adjourn to go for supper.